I'm Alex Stone, former military service member and law enforcement officer. Now CEO of Echelon Protected Services, one of the fastest growing private security firms on the West Coast. And this is Ride Along, where our guests and I witness firsthand the issues affecting our community. I believe our proven method of enacting meaningful change through compassion and understanding is the best way to make our streets a safer place and truly achieve security through community.
Hi, I'm Kristi Carver. I'm the Managing Director of Interurban Real Estate, and I'm here today with Alex of Echelon to go on a ride-along on the streets of Portland.
Hey, Alex Stone here, host of Ride Along. Welcome back. We have a great guest today. Her name is Kristi Carver. She's a CEO, principal of Interurban Real Estate, a fantastic real estate company here in the Portland metro area, and she's also a client. And we're here today because we're going to discuss just that overlap of property management and security. Kristi, you want to tell everyone hi?
Hi, everyone. I am Kristi. Thank you for that introduction, Alex. Interurban Real Estate is a commercial real estate management company in Portland, Oregon. We are a certified women-owned business, and we manage historic office buildings downtown, specifically 9 of them in Old Town. So that's how Alex and I came to know each other.
That's right. And so trying to talk about the history, but before we get there of how we met, I'm kind of interested in how you got into property management.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's actually kind of a long story, but I got into property management out of college. I was in sales and I didn't love my job, so I started working for a development company. Which sparked my interest. And from there, I just started working for actually a very early age for some pretty large corporations and got into corporate real estate and then worked for very high-level institutional clients. So after years of that type of experience, I decided I didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore, but I wanted to take that experience and have a more personal level, nimble experience, and that's when I started in urban real estate in 2015.
So it's 2015. You just start your company.
Yeah.
There's a pretty decent boom in real estate, right?
Yeah. Things were going well.
Things were going well.
Yeah, things were going well. It was a good time to do it.
It was a good time, yeah. As we creep into 16, 17, and 18, we start coming into a lot of, I would say, the atmosphere in the downtown corridor, both on the east and west side of the river, started to change, right?
100%. Yeah, we definitely were seeing it. We're feeling it.
And I would say, as someone, back then I was in law enforcement, we saw the change, and the way that we looked at it, and people, professionals in law enforcement, we just go, oh, crime is cyclical. You have waves, it's generational. And so this is just a regular generational increase in crime.
Sure.
But in property management, when you have major changes in culture, this affects rents and occupancy rates.
Yeah.
And so what was going through your mind during this time?
I mean, I think during that time we were just, having a little bit of an uptick of things going on in the street, but it wasn't at that time a major concern. I don't think we, obviously didn't see what was coming. So, we were just taking on, extra security measures and things like that. But it wasn't a situation where we were fearful that, we were going to actually have material reduction in rates, material occupancy dips, and things like that.
So it was probably more slow.
It was slow enough to
kind of like the old story of the frog in the water.
Yes.
They don't know it's coming because the change is so
started
slight.
boiling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, at what point did you realize, as an owner of, this is major commercial areas.
Yeah.
And you tell your team, you're finally going to have that talk with your team, I think the water is boiling. Like, what did that look like?
Well, maybe this is a little bit.
And there were riots going on. There were a lot of rioting going on. $20,000 windows being broken.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Social upheaval all across the nation, but a unique sense of that occurring within Portland
Yes.
because it became super politicized on the right and the left.
Right.
And you had right and left factions in the streets every day, which is, I've never seen that before
Right.
in
Right.
America. And on top of that, you had this general increase of crime. You had the descheduling or the deregulation or decriminalization of narcotics. Right? All of this kind of occurring at the same time with no expectation and no really leadership from government as to what we're going to expect. No one was forecasting what this was going to do. It was just kind of like, we're hoping for the best here, right?
Gosh, you're bringing back some memories here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it. Not a surprise to anyone. It was just as the pandemic was hitting, March of 2020. I mean, maybe earlier in the year we were starting to see some uptick in things, but certainly like the watch started spinning, as soon as things shut down. We had some of the first shutdowns. People left their offices.
That's right.
In March. So, for a lot of people that nobody came back to the office on March 16th. I can't remember that, some of the restaurants shut down right thereafter.
Yeah, there's like a mandatory 1 or 2 week shutdown.
Right.
That's right.
Right. And I just want to remind everyone, this was the pandemic that was shutting things down. Later on in May, end of May, is when George Floyd was murdered, which added a whole nother aspect to upheaval.
Yeah.
And a whole different dynamic to the streets. So just between March, 13th to into May was simply people living at home, not coming into the office, restaurants shutting down. That was a dynamic on its own. I mean, never mind that we're dealing with, handling our tenants' concerns, not being able to pay rent, shutting down their businesses and things like that. We are protecting the buildings. We are boarding up windows because
Every building was boarded up.
we had to navigate that whole situation because no one was on the streets. The city of Portland, the county, no one was able to, for instance, not able to go into Old Town because that was too dangerous for people to be there because of the virus and things.
That's right.
And therefore, all of the small business who have no choice but to try and keep their business alive are making choices about how to protect their buildings. And as a property management company, we're down there boarding up windows. But before we could do that to all of our properties. I mean, here's an example. We had one building on the edge of Old Town that sustained almost $20,000 of broken windows on March 30th. And people will, when I tell the story about that property, which was a property that was already struggling a little bit, revenue-wise, and with, the restaurants there, they like to, the protesters, and I say, oh, no. This was March 30th. This was before George Floyd died.
Yeah.
Like, it was just the lack of presence of our city workers, police, and things going on
And
at
a lack
that
of,
time.
I would even say a lack of mental health care. A lot of the broken windows were occurring, at least from the reports that were later received.
Yeah.
And persons identified from persons who were not receiving proper medical care.
Right.
Mental health care.
This was literally someone who just was like, oh, no one's around. Let me just break some windows. This is real fun.
And, with the shutdown, the COVID shutdowns, there were a lack of desire to want to bring people into medical institutions.
Yes.
Especially the mental health institutions.
Yes.
So a lot of the, unfortunately, a lot of the mentally ill suffered forcibly living on the streets, essentially. And so you have all of these cross sections, all this intersectionality occurring.
Sure.
Right? So what did that conversation? When did you go to your team and say, "We need a solution"? It's kind of like Jerry Maguire moment. Like, does anyone have any ideas?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like, can we think outside the box? What are we doing here?
Right. I mean, I think we were having those conversations immediately, but it was, it was just tough because we couldn't have all of our conversations around security. It was around health too, and,
Yep.
and a lot of other things that were going on at that time. But I mean, I think it really hit a fervor once we started having protests in downtown Portland after George Floyd, and we had that added dynamic to the situation. We're like, this is going, the other thing we have to remember at that time is we thought that we were going to have a shutdown for a matter of weeks, maybe a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
2 weeks. Yeah.
And we didn't anticipate the whole, the George Floyd addition to that. And so the combination of an extended shutdown, the virus, George Floyd happening, the protests, I think it was really, around June 1st that we really rallied together and said, we have to do something ourselves to figure out how to protect our propriety from all the various elements that are going on out there, and to protect our employees who still, some of our employees never went home. Our building technicians and engineers still had to be on site at the properties and, maintaining cleanliness for any businesses that were remaining open. Maintenance and things like that.
Wiping the elevator down 10 times a day, wiping the buttons down, wiping the doors down. So
That's right.
these mandatory jobs
Right.
are, these technicians were part of that mandatory labor pool.
Yeah, they were essential.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They were essential. Yeah, I remember that word.
And so they're downtown. And even I remember getting reports as your security team. Multiple persons within your company had been assaulted.
Yes.
Someone had a firearm pulled on them.
Yeah.
And so this is not normal. Hey, I'm going to start a property management company. I'm pretty sure you didn't think someday I'm going to start a property management company, and my main concern is going to be how to protect my employees.
Absolutely not.
Right?
Absolutely not, especially not in downtown Portland,
Yeah,
Oregon.
but this becomes a major concern. You have a great heart and you care about your folks, but
For sure.
also, insurance-wise, and for the safety of your client's property and the tenants, because if someone's going to pull a gun on a maintenance tech,
Yes.
how safe is your tenant, right?
Right.
And so, how did you navigate that? And when did you finally decide that we needed essentially to create this? You're kind of the impetus for our security model, right? How did that
come about? So it was, around that time, sometime in June, maybe July, I was talking to a couple of key real estate clients that both of them at the time were housed in Old Town. Maybe one had moved to the Pearl District, but I said, we're going to have to bind together here and create some sort of security district, especially in Old Town. And I was focused on Old Town because it was absolutely the worst of the worst.
Yeah. At this current time, we estimated that Old Town was housing 15% of the total houseless population of Portland.
Is that all? Because it seemed like it was more than that. But
It did. Around almost 450 to 600 people.
Okay, believable. Yes, for sure.
And this doesn't include all of the sheltering.
Right.
And the transient activity of people coming to get resources from nonprofits located in Old Town. But these are people actually living on the streets in Old Town.
Right. Yeah. And, maybe I should talk about some of the conditions that were, like concerns from the perspective of, not only the safety concerns of our tenants and our employees, but here, we have a lot of small businesses in our buildings. We're a small business. And so we had to stay open during those times. But, I'm thinking of the restaurants, the coffee shops, the other small little, apparel companies and things like that in these buildings. How do we figure out the balance of making sure that they feel safe going into their small business, they can maintain some level of running their business at that time.
That's right.
So we've got a houseless community, we've got a lot of criminal activity as well, and just sort of unchecked mental health stuff going on. All of this can be combined or separated, but a lot of it was happening in Old Town. I mean, I just, we had people stringing electrical cords into our second floor.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things going on.
Through the windows.
Through the windows.
The residential windows. Coming down, and then that would be feeding an entire camp site.
Yes. And then that leads to the fact that there's tents on the sidewalk in front of our businesses, and we totally understand that we've got a houseless community that needs a place to sleep, that needs compassion and resources, and a lot of those resources are in Old Town. But as we all know, a community has to have balance, and oftentimes people talk about that being an ecosystem or a balance in community. And as part of that, you have to have some situation where we don't have a tent in front of a small business, because we need that business to be able to run, to continue gaining revenue, continue paying their taxes, the taxes which help pay for some of these services, all of those things. So
it's like an ecosystem. Everything has to be doing its part to make sure everything's staying healthy and working.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to keep, so it's not. When we say we need to, move a tent away from a front door of a business, we are not saying we don't care about that person in that tent. We are saying we just need a win-win situation, which we talk about a lot in real estate too, so that we can continue running that business and everyone can continue living a healthy and humane life. And that includes small business, and that also includes the houseless person in the tent. And we also, in addition to that, need to be able to have, some visibility so that we're addressing crime that could be happening and hiding within and around the tents that are blocking those front doors things like that. Because that's another thing. When a tent's blocking a front door, you can't see the criminal activity that is going in between the tent and the front door. So anyway, those were the conditions. And at the time, we are not able to move tents off of the sidewalks or things like that. So
the city of Portland granted, they transformed the right of transportation on a private sidewalk, a privately owned sidewalk that's granted as a public easement for pedestrian traffic. That right of transportation was transformed into a right of accommodation.
Yes.
With the expectation that if someone moved a tent or forcibly attempted to move a tent off of their private sidewalk that they're required by city charter to maintain, right? And the city's indemnified on.
Yes.
That you would likely be criminally charged with harassment or theft or some type of property crime, destruction of property, these types of things.
Or or minimally just vilified by, a number of advocates, for doing it. And we want to be respectful too and understand that these are people in these tents also. So, we needed a unique solution.
A unique solution for this dynamic.
We did. And we, some of our properties had some levels of security at the time, but it was almost wholly ineffective towards this environment.
That observe and report model.
The observe and report model.
Who's going to show up?
No one.
Exactly.
No one
so
shows up.
So it doesn't work. You're satisfying your insurance requirements at that point.
Yeah. They're reporting. There's a tent there. I did nothing. Maybe I talked to the person and I moved on. But anyway, so we thought we needed to combine our network of real estate people. That was my thought, because that's who I know in the community. And I was focused on Old Town because it was the worst of the worst. We had 3 properties that we were managing already. We were taking 6 more on, or I guess we had 4, and then we were taking 5 more on in the coming couple of months. And so that's when I got connected ultimately with you and Reed.
Yeah, my business partner.
Yes, yeah. We got connected with
He's your favorite. I know he's your favorite.
No, you guys are both my favorites. But I got connected with the two of you along with our other partner, who was already negotiating some sort of
A community leader.
community leader who was organizing some neighbors. And it just worked out perfect because I got connected with you guys. I got to know about Echelon and how that it was a more community-based outreach type security, a completely different model than what we were experiencing. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was amazing to find out that this existed. I learned about what you had done at one of your apartment buildings and the kind of the turnaround that you guys had done there.
Highest call volume property and for multifamily residential in the Central District.
Yeah. So I got to learn about that, learn about sort of how you approach that. And I mean, I guess the main thing is that, you did it by relationships. It's the, instead of, coming in there, get out, force, all that stuff. You build relationships with the community. And I got to see that, firsthand pretty early on before I think we took on the contracts or maybe shortly thereafter, how when your officers are walking down the street, the relationships are built so well that the houseless community or the different characters on and folks on the street are actually coming up to your officers or like, hey buddy, hey bro, and that was so huge to me to see that happening. That's what we needed. We needed the relationships built because relationships, as we all know, foster influence.
100, yeah. It's the only leverage you really have in a social dynamic.
Yes.
Is that relationship. And to accompany that, like Reed and I knew that with the increase of crime and the pandemic, that we were losing that third place, this sociological principle of third place, which a major coffee company likes to use as kind of their marketing tool. But the idea is that people go home, they go to work, and then they have a third place that they're emotionally invested in space. And that as humans, we have to emotionally invest in space, in real estate, right? As an emotional commodity, because it brings us comfort. People go to the park, they want to look at the river, things like this. Right. And so we knew that there would be a dramatic loss over the several year period of people who are invested in space. So community engagement as a security company would be the only way to counteract that.
Yes.
And that on the street kind of dynamic.
Yes.
Right. And so that's what we did. And I think we did it pretty well. I mean, I think we're doing it really well still.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, once we kind of gathered all of the different people that were willing to be involved, you guys added your foot patrols.
That's right. Yep.
To this group.
Yep.
And started those relationships and that influence on the streets and that presence on the streets with the community, and started your outreach. Sending people to, sometimes even in an Uber to.
Oh yeah, all the time.
One of the shelters.
Yeah.
Right?
I think last month we sent 121 people to some type of service, shelter, detox, small home, tiny home, something like this.
Yeah. I mean, huge. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. And I mean, just all the little things that you guys do. I mean, there's a lot that leads up to that confidence that the houseless folks in those tents, for them to get there. So it's like you're giving them resources, socks or waters, or all these things. I mean, that's so different than obviously other security companies.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost hard to call it a security company, but that is an aspect. Yeah. You're also there to provide security to the folks and in the building and the building itself. So that we can continue operating small business in Portland.
And there was even a sense that there's always a criminal element within every aspect of society.
Yes.
All the way from Wall Street, all the way down to Main Street.
Yeah.
And it became Reed and I wanted to make it very clear that we were also there for the security of the people living in tents.
Absolutely.
And the drug dealers and the pimps and the hardened criminals that utilize this population to make money.
Yeah.
They
They
realize,
like hide within.
yeah,
Right?
they do. Oh, well, yeah. A lot of them will hide within, but actually don't live on the street. They have apartments.
Oh, that's lovely.
They just come out, yeah. And so we had several factions in charge. We probably at that time had 8 separate factions in charge of Old Town, subdivided into groups. And it became very apparent very quickly that they knew that we were going to protect the rights and integrity of everyone in that neighborhood.
I love it.
And it became a place where they realized it just made it harder for them to make money.
Perfect.
Exactly. Because everything's an economic decision, right? So
Exactly.
it drove them to have to leave at the end of the day because they said, well, why would I want to make 25% less in this neighborhood if I could go to another area and make my money there, right?
That's perfect.
And so, yeah, that was kind of the model. Kind of moving forward, we've been in partnership with you for almost 3 years now, I think.
That's so hard to believe. It's gone by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make one other point that I think is really...
You're the guest.
I mean, it's like really important point about that time and the aspects going on there. So we talked about the houseless, obviously a lot ramped up with just the lack of presence from, police and everything during that time. And just people in general, everybody was at home. But, one of the concerns with us adding a different security group to our Old Town buildings and our downtown buildings, a huge part of that was so sensitive around the recency of George Floyd. And so,
his murder.
His murder. Yeah. That happened on May 25th of 2020. So, we were talking in June, right thereafter, June, July. That was really important to me to make sure that we address this concern with our clients and our tenants and, our small business owners in our buildings. One thing that really I found, when I dug in, we are having armed security. We need to have armed security in Old Town, downtown. I mean, it's just, I wouldn't want to go out and protect other people on the streets of Old Town or the buildings without being armed myself, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, and by armed we mean with a firearm.
With a firearm.
And I don't think firearms aren't the answer to community transformation.
Right.
And I think that you obviously agree with me on that.
Yes.
And our model is community transformation, but at some point when you have the rioters, right, getting in shootouts with the criminal and houseless population,
right,
because they were actually fighting over territory, and this was multiple times in Old Town. Yeah, shootouts with these all these random groups that would coming in. It was scary. I mean, and there's still shootouts, and I'm not trying to.
There was like a shootout the first night you guys worked.
I was gonna try to bring. It was actually a client. Yeah. They were a tenant of yours. Yes. There was a criminal organization that had been breaking in and stealing everything in their small business. Small business. And we knew who the individual was. This individual was a shot caller in a criminal organization. On the block. Yeah. Him and his son actually got arrested for the attempted murder of a police officer. Oh, with a vehicle. They struck a police officer, and so he's actually in prison now. But yeah, that night they were assaulting your tenant, and it was probably 20 on 4, and they happened to have a shotgun, so they fired a shotgun. The tenant. Yeah. They fired a shotgun in the air to keep the people from assaulting them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this was our first night patrol in Old Town. Under the loose. Yeah, under the security district model. Where we're trying to get to de-escalate and be a community presence to stop things like this. And it was, I mean, I've obviously been in law enforcement, and so that none of this rattled us because everyone on patrol that night had really great security. That was going to be my question. Why didn't you quit? Yeah, I mean, we had I think everyone with us that night had a very strong background.
Yeah.
Very, very strong background. And so we just told them, hey, this isn't your territory. Like, you're treating this business like you can come in here and rob them, like you own the streets, and you don't own these streets. You don't own these streets. These streets are owned by a community and not a criminal organization. And so they basically, there was one little property that's now our client that wasn't our client then, and they go, okay, well, we own this block, and we were like, and we said that's not our block. But yeah,
But it will be soon.
it did become our block, and so that was, I would say it was normal.
During that time.
It was actually.
It was wild.
It was the Wild West.
Wild West for sure. Yeah.
It was the Wild West. I mean, catalytic converters were going missing.
Oh.
It was a wild time.
Standard. I guess the point, that I was wanting to make is that, an important thing for us was to ensure that with having armed security, in Old Town, how are we going to make sure that we are being equitable and addressing the concerns of our BIPOC community and our BIPOC allies, and just, the whole George Floyd thing had just happened, and I wanted to make sure we're not just a replacement for the police and, who everyone was concerned about their tactics and things and their, sort of the racist activities that had been going on with the police force. How, I was concerned that they were just going to view Echelon as a replacement for police, and that we were going to be dealing with the same things, or at least the same perception. But
and this was a concern.
This was a concern. Was a concern.
And I hate,
Yeah. So I asked you and your partner Reed, what are you doing to ensure that we are addressing people in an equitable and fair fashion, and how do you approach in a non-brutality way, I guess. And so, I got to learn more about your training. Do you want to talk about a little bit of that, like how I guess relationships wise rather than?
Yeah, so everything that we do is based on community engagement.
Yeah.
And really, this is the correct model for private security. When you're law enforcement, right? Law enforcement is it, and I know a lot of people don't. You have to dig in and dive in and be there for years to understand why we have law enforcement in America. But essentially, it's because there are people that are out there hurting other people. Either they're taking their property, destroying their property, or they're causing physical harm to people.
Sure.
And in order to stop that activity, investigate that activity, and bring those people to justice, law enforcement has to exist. Now, for law enforcement to do their job, right, which is to stop you, detain you, conduct an investigation while you're detained, right, and then possibly arrest you and put you in jail and or prison long-term through a criminal process, right? All of those things require slight increases of rights violations, right? So at the bottom core of what law enforcement does, right, in order to keep our society safe, is to the best of their ability, acting legally, ethically, and morally, attempt to determine who among us in our community are committing crimes, and how and what is the best way to go about increasing their right, the violation of their rights, in such a way that I can conduct a professional, thorough investigation that can be delivered with the suspect to a criminal justice process that will then act equitably and fairly to provide the correct results of guilty, not guilty, right? And so that's law enforcement.
Right.
And I think a lot of people think that law enforcement and security are really very closely related, which was your concern. Oh, they're Blackwater. It's private policing.
Right.
And that
was a concern.
Yeah, and the reality is, What stops private policing is a healthy, robust private security element that's driven and that is overseen by a government entity like Department of Public Safety here in Oregon. And so private policing is really when you have a private company that is granted the right of policing. What private security doesn't have the right to police. That's why it can't be private policing. Policing is the ability to legally and ethically and morally suspend someone's rights in order to bring about a criminal justice outcome.
But don't you think there's a lot of security companies that sort of mimic policing?
They do. And
I didn't want that.
No, and unfortunately, the mimicking of law enforcement, we call it that false law enforcement model, right? The mimicking of law enforcement actually does bring some positive results to crime reduction. I would say it's probably 20 to 25% effective in the short term.
Sure.
But as that company continues alongside that contract, they begin hurting people's feelings because they're acting like law enforcement without the authority to do so. And then law enforcement, or the criminal element, begins to understand this really isn't law enforcement. So they come back to the property. At the end of the day, because what law enforcement does is typically escalatory by nature.
Yeah.
I mean, no one likes to get pulled over, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, when a security company does that and someone feels escalated and that can turn into conflict, that security company can't back it up.
So this is a short-term solution.
You get short-term solutions, but long-term, you actually exacerbate the issue because if someone feels violated, they're going to retaliate.
Sure.
And when they retaliate, what happens? They break your windows.
That's right.
So if you roll up on if you roll up on a tent of guys, 4 or 5 are just homeless people or probably drug addicted. They really need resources. They need to get off the street, maybe mental health. And the drug dealer's over here, and you're kind of mean to all of them because you just want them to get off my property, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, oh, we'll get off your property. Yeah, no problem. We'll leave right now. And they'll leave, and then 2 days later, you get broken into, and your windows get broken, and the property owner's like, well, they did such a good job getting rid of all the criminal element, right? But it's weird we got broken into. Sure. And I'm like, yeah, you got broken into because they're retaliating against that tactic, right?
Yeah.
And what we do is completely different.
Yeah, you build a positive relationship with people.
Yeah, even the drug dealers.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, you need to change your life, man. You're going to get killed. You're going to go to prison. You're throwing away your life. You got a kid. You got a kid, man. See, you're a father. You have 2 children. You think this is positive for them. You're going to bring them into this life.
Yeah.
You're mentoring your children to come out here and get shot on the street. Yeah. And you actually try to change their mind. And you make them feel uncomfortable with the decisions within them, the conscience that they have. That what you're doing isn't right.
Connecting with them on a human level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more of a therapeutic, even maybe pastoral type of role, right?
Love it.
It's it's almost a humanitarian aid situation.
Yes.
Where we're deconflicting areas, and we're trying to bring about peace treaties. We're trying to bring about, pacts between groups and organizations to deconflict.
So, I mean, talking about, your de-escalation tactics and, building relationships and things like that, one of the main concerns I had was with, the optics of some of our tenants and clients, being concerned about, the police brutality that was like such a concern in the time. And, it was, again, near the George Floyd death.
Right.
So I needed that question answered, and I had needed a lot of understanding about how people were going to be treated and how people.
How would our guards relate to people of color?
Yes.
On patrol.
On patrol. I mean everyone, but also that, and how we would be treating people, fairly equitably. And so finally, you said, Kristi, if you're concerned about my moral and ethical character, Google me. And so, Alex, you're the CEO of Echelon. I Googled you, and I discovered some articles about you having turned in a police chief that you used to work for when you were a police officer for being racist. And I read through that. I think understanding the blue line and things like that, like how that works, how hard that must have been, and obviously it changed your career as a police officer, as well as the police chiefs. That said everything to me, and that's what I needed to know that I was working with a group with integrity and that trains people the right way and has the right moral compass.
Yeah. So I
was like, do you want to talk more about that?
You're such a great leader, and the fact that you did that, and I don't know if you know this, but I signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh, okay.
So I actually can't discuss that.
Okay.
But a lot of people, this is very normal. Everyone Googles everybody now.
Yeah.
Especially,
like it's public knowledge. There's articles about it.
Oh, yeah. New York Daily News, CNN. I mean, even the French press picked it up. I think BBC picked it up. Local. It was local, very local as well. And so I can't really speak to that. But what I can say is that if we don't care about people, then communities won't change.
Well said.
You can't expect to transform a community unless everyone in the community feels loved. And so that was the basis, that truly is our moral compass and the basis of every action we take.
It's beautiful.
And that was our model. And it really comes down to how do you hire and train a guard to go out and treat people with dignity? And not only that, but to instill within people who have no agency and sense of self-worth, how do we over a period of time, through a relationship, instill agency and worth into an individual that will then lead to them choosing to get help?
Yeah. You care about them.
You have to care about them. And you have to be the one person that comes by that they know is going to come by every day with a good word, with a hug, with just a conversation. Hey, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
And with supplies and resources. And that's what we became. We became that, that relationship builder.
Absolutely.
That catalyst.
I mean, and it worked fast.
It worked fast. It did. We were actually shocked how fast it worked.
Yeah, it was, truly unbelievable. I can't even, express probably in statistics or words like what, there were probably a number of small businesses that literally scrape by and survive because of your abilities to build those relationships and get people help and, and just pull, I guess, influence, some tents away from those front doorways just to, again, help the security situation and just help allow customers to come back into these small businesses, and that's just the perfect example of a win-win situation.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about this, which is great.
Yeah.
You're so easy to talk to. And, I think we're winning the battle in the community. It's always going to be a process. Transformation is ongoing.
Right.
Right? So currently you're headquartered in Portland.
That's correct.
Right? But you're moving into other states.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So give us a little, a glimpse into the future of interurban real estate. But before we do that, I just want to say you're probably the most professional company we deal with. And I know that a lot of my clients are going to probably watch this, but it's your people are always professional. I've never had a bad experience with anyone on your team. And I can tell that you have a personal culture and mission that everyone's bought into at your company.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And your team really respects you. And so I know that you're going to continue to grow. I know that, you're going to be all over the place.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
explain your strategy and where you're going next.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't think I've ever told you this before, but our guiding principle with Interurban Real Estate is to seek harmony. So I actually think that transfers to what you guys do too.
I love it, yeah.
So I always tell our team, that means if you're talking on the phone with somebody and, they're upset and, so your goal, however that needs to be, is to seek harmony between the two of you and the situation. So it also applies to our maintenance technicians. If they're working on an HVAC unit, if it's not working properly, you need to find the harmony in that and put that together and get it done. So if anything, if you kind of forget the other values of the company, you have a moment or whatever, if you just remember to seek harmony, that is going to solve your problem or guide you to the right place. So I feel like that's kind of the same thing with Echelon and, on the streets and even LOA. But to get back to where the company's going, we had intended to move into Washington in 2020 actually. But we had to change our focus to
hard to do that during a pandemic.
Right. Yeah. The pandemic hit, and actually we had the opportunity to grow as a company during that time because conditions were so challenging. We had a lot of experienced people on our team. We took on more business and nearly doubled the company in size.
Good job.
Thank you.
You did a good job.
So we focused on that and doubled our situation in Portland. But now we're refocused on going into Washington to start with and just becoming a little bit more regional. So we have gotten our license in Washington and we'll be moving into Vancouver soon.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I want to get out of the studio because I feel like, everyone that was watching and plus you and I, we get more out of it when we're in the field. So I'm thinking that we should definitely go visit some LOA staff members and kind of catch up with them on the streets.
Loving one another.
See them and how they're interacting with the houseless population, possibly even around your buildings. And then maybe we go check out one of your sites. Obviously, we don't talk about clients' names and addresses, but
would love to.
I think it's a really good idea. And then maybe even do a little patrolling around. Maybe make some contacts ourselves. Yeah. Maybe I'll put you on the spot and have you make the contact. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. Whew. It's a little hot today. Yeah. What up, T?
Hey, how's it going?
Do you know Kristi?
Perfect.
So they can come in. Sometimes they don't want to shop. We'll get it for them. Sometimes they do, so they'll come in and look through it and find out what they want. We have shoes right back here, so we have 3-4 levels of shoes. We have up to brand new boots back here that we get donated, so they can come in. We let them get one pair of shoes and one pair of sandals in the summertime. So we usually get here like around 3:30, 4 o'clock. We'll be here for an hour.
Okay.
And when we first got here, we'd probably have 1 or 2 people. Now we have up to 30 people a day.
Let's hit the field.
Yeah.
So where are we going?
Let's go pass out water in the pit. You want to do that?
Okay, I'm down.
Okay. All right.
You good?
What is this, leaking?
No, it's just at the top.
We'll take your car.
Oh, is it?
All right, we'll meet y'all there.
Okay,
Gotcha.
sounds good.
All right. Cool, so this is the pit. It's county property managed by the city through contract. And the majority of the houseless population have kind of been forced into this corridor. See if we can get anyone to get into a shelter. It's probably too late today, but it's definitely good leads for the next day. Usually during a 7-day period, they're at that place in their life twice.
Okay.
So if we contact them every day, multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's do it.
How y'all doing?
Pizza.
Huh?
I'm ordering them a pizza.
Oh, nice.
They're hungry.
I don't eat pork. Very good.
Good. How about you?
Nice. Where's Red?
Red Dog?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not out here today. I think he's.
Oh, for real?
He
full
went in?
time in the shelter.
Okay.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Some water. He's hungry, so I think he went to.
It's hot, man. Do you think anyone's home?
Of course, yeah. We're going to walk around. We was waiting till you guys get. We was going to walk around, see if these guys was like some water, and go out to them because some of them too hot to don't want to come out.
That looks abandoned, bro.
It is.
Is this like the normal population in this area for the pit?
Yeah. Sometimes more.
You come here, they see you day after day, you build the trust in the relationship, and then eventually they're ready.
Most definitely. So from the first contact, It maybe only take us, most of the times, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, but it could last longer. Depends on their trust level with us.
We just had a barbecue, what, 2 weeks ago? We fed
Yep. 529.
520 some people.
Served about 750 meals.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
750.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it
It
was.
just kept coming.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
thought we would maybe serve 200.
Maybe.
No, it just.
And how much time was that?
Five
almost
hours?
6 hours of
5, 6
cooking.
hours?
Yes.
Yeah, constant. I had no hair left on my arm when I got done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk down, give them some
Yeah, let's
Yeah, that's why I
water
said we
real
can
quick.
walk around
Yep,
and
yep.
give out some water.
You guys got pizza coming too. You're welcome. Hey, you want some water?
And so this little area is kind of deceptive.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the middle of it, you don't really know how many tents are actually here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because you kind of come down here and you
What's up?
see so many more.
Good, man. And so, if you're just driving by, you don't really see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because even just down, we don't point on the street, but right here, that little corridor with the iron fence.
Yeah.
You go down there, that's even like a bunch more tents.
Oh, yeah, I can see
That's
down
where you're gonna
there.
have a lot more violent people.
Yeah.
The people that run the show, that's where they're at.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is kind of a hidden spot, you know,
Yeah, it is.
from where at least where I normally
Yeah,
go.
I mean, you look across the street, and there's no one over there that can see anything.
Yeah.
That's from looking at this
True,
every day.
that's true.
The only people looking at this every day is inside that building and inside the JLO building. What's up, Makisha?
Velvet floors in your tent. None about it.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Pimp my tent. Pimp my tent.
You ever find that bike?
Dead squirrel, rat. Watch out. Rats are a huge problem.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I mean, they've become a huge problem in Old Town in general.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
in this kind of situation.
Word?
What's up, big dog?
For sure.
You need want some cold
Hey,
water?
how's it going?
I got you. You want some water, brother? How about you, ma'am? No? Okay. Where are your
So the
parents
lady
at, you know?
is
I
running
mean,
right there.
where were they living before?
Going down there. Did you notice how she was missing her arm?
Oh, I saw her earlier, yes.
Yeah. She got doped up, passed out, and the train took her arm off.
Oh,
That happened right when we first came in around the time you hired.
really? Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow. You know a little bit about everyone,
Yes.
which is the point.
That's the point.
Are you trying to get into a shelter?
Nah,
No?
no, that's not good enough.
Why? What's wrong? What's
A room, yeah, they could give me my own room so I could self-care a minute so I could get my business head on.
the shelter's not just not where it's
Where I
at?
give a fuck about anybody, really.
Yeah.
But myself. And my boys. You guys
She's,
just prison.
she has grandiose ideas and stuff like that. So I just appease her and make sure she stays calm.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I just, sometimes you just gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them. So. What about a tiny home?
Yeah.
Would you want to go into a tiny home?
Oh yeah, anything
Okay.
inside where I'm safe.
Okay.
Because I felt good there. I could have been there, and I was feeling adjusted.
So as summer happens,
Yeah.
you get more activity. During the daytime, people sleep or pass out, and you get more activity at night,
I see.
right? And then during the winter,
That
people
makes sense.
sleep at night, and there's a lot more activity during the day.
That makes
So people
a lot
will
of
drive by
sense.
here and be like, well, there's a lot of tents, but there's not a lot of activity.
It's because they're sleeping.
They're sleeping or they're out getting a meal, right? So part of the issue is like, they just passed a new law about camping.
Yes.
Right.
So what is the base? I mean, like, because of the lawsuit, right?
ADA lawsuit.
Yeah.
So do you see an ADA sidewalk anywhere around here?
No.
Over there. That building. But
Yeah.
what about there's no sidewalks?
Right. So there's nothing to do here.
I mean, this is what I'm, yeah.
That only addresses one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it addresses something that is important.
it does.
I mean, a couple of things that are important.
It does. But that's if they had the or the force strength to actually do anything about it.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, it does at least help small business
Yeah.
and
If they can actually get people to show up.
the disabled.
People to hand out a ticket. Because you have to hand them a ticket and then you have to wait 5 days.
Oh,
You have to give them 5 days to move.
Oh,
And then they
Okay.
come back and then it's a crime.
got it.
But how do you know if that's the same person? Unless that same police officer is
So
on his way
essentially, we
back.
just need to keep doing the same things we're doing,
Yeah.
which is just making relationships and
Yeah. So if you have 100 people that are contacted in Old Town and the Pearl, are they going to keep a log of the names and the locations of all those contacts?
No.
Or is
Are
it
they? I
going to
don't
be the
know.
same police officer 5 days later that goes by?
Are we
Is
just
it-
are we just counting on people, being responsible or like following the law? Because we stopped doing that. Everyone did.
No, none of that. I don't think any of that's going to help. What helps is actually coming out, getting to know people, having a conversation with them, and then them finally coming to the realization they need help.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Eventually.
Like nothing else matters at that
Okay.
point. Spencer wanted to handle that. She has mental health issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
thought it'd be best to de-escalate
Take
and
her
get
away.
out of that
Yeah.
camp, yeah.
So it made sense. We just.
Anybody in there? Y'all need a water? Anybody need some water? It's ice cold. All right.
Okay.
Hey, y'all need some water?
Anybody need any
Anybody
water over here?
It's ice cold. Here you go. Anytime.
Water? Ah, there you go. Yeah, you bet. Somebody in there need a water?
Yeah, they're around front.
Where are we? We're on the other side. Oh, there you are.
You need a water?
There you go.
Anybody home?
Think we got another one?
Yeah.
He needs another one.
All right, man.
Yeah.
She gonna roll out, that lady?
I think she just got done talking to Spence. I think he made some phone calls and he's gonna get into a tiny one.
You thirsty? You good? Need a water? Yeah. Awesome, bro.
Nice.
Nice to meet you. Have a good day. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, here you go.
They're going to be here between 3 and 3:15 for the pizza.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stand right here for him.
All right. Got 3 pizzas. They were all hungry.
Nice.
Nice.
It's a working relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's not just us doing everything for them.
Yeah.
They help us too.
That's wonderful.
I've had a hit put out on me down here, right?
Oh.
And other people find out about it, and they're like, "Hey, man, no, you ain't doing it." So, it's a working relationship.
It's perfect.
That's the great thing. That's the beauty of it. It's not just us doing things for them.
It is beautiful. It's kind of a little micro community. Well, it is.
You know what this place was like 2.5
Yeah,
years ago.
that'd be good too.
Yeah.
You see, he's fat. He done drunk enough
I came down here and I was like, what?
in his
Really?
cold water.
We're
He
gonna
good.
change this? Are
Right.
you crazy?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We
like,
talked
well,
about that earlier.
We were talking
give it
about
a
the
shot.
first night.
And
Yeah.
it seemed insurmountable. Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's Boston. That's the guy in the white t-shirt right there. He used to pull guns on us and all kinds of stuff, and now he asked me to get into a shelter like a month ago.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
But so it's really easy, if you know the body language, to determine who is
Three
part of that
cases.
criminal element, but no one else has done that here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you guys spend the time
Yeah.
building these relationships. You know what's going on.
People always want to, I think, take the homeless and put them all in one
And
basket.
you have to work out here. You have to understand there's certain things you talk about, certain things you don't talk about, there's certain things you can ask about, certain things you can't ask about, there's certain things you can say, certain things you can't say, and that's why not everybody can do this.
Sure.
You have to understand, like, we've had other people try to come down here and do this. It's just not their cup of tea.
Well, and
right?
people
Especially
really
without triggering
oversimplify the problem. I mean, I think we all know that. You know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the blind gentleman that we helped
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Taz, want some water?
a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
It's Spencer and Terrence.
So we
How you doing, brother?
You got to know him.
had to approach him a certain way, but he's blind. But we've been helping him
Doing
out
okay?
for a long time.
Hold on. Hello?
Give me a couple bucks and
Yeah.
What do you need?
How did eyes doing?
I came out and then went back in for my eye. And I don't know, they didn't say much, man. They just kicked me out.
I got you.
They just got me out.
got you. Well, is there anything that we can do for you today?
No.
Anything you need help with?
I love the crystal pipe and the blueberry crystal. I break my stuff because I'm dying to every morning.
I'm saying, what can we help you with? Do you need something? Like, do you need some more clothes? Stuff like that? Hygiene? What can I help you with? Some what? Some clothes? Okay, yeah, I can get you some clothes. Where you going to be? You coming back to the pit? Do you want me to bring them to you?
We got 3 pizzas showing up in like 15 minutes over here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mike Keisha, you know Mike Keisha?
Nah, he don't know my Keisha. But we have 3 pieces that we're gonna be giving out right here on the corner, so I can go to the resource center and grab you some clothes and then bring them down to you. Okay? What's your sizes? Medium. Okay, I got you. We got you. I can get you taken care of. Okay? Just be down here for me. Okay? All right.
Something to eat, okay?
He needs some clothes too, so I'm gonna go get him
More
some.
clothes?
I'm gonna go get him some clothes too. One on the way.
Yeah.
On the way down.
Here, man, go get yourself something to eat. There you go. Okay, bro. All right, Taz, we'll see you a little bit later, okay? Yeah. All right.
I've actually arrested him twice.
Taz.
Yeah.
So when I
His
first
name's
got
Tesfaye.
Yeah.
He's from Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's not. He wasn't blind when he first got down.
No, huh? No,
At all.
bad.
Yeah, he said he's totally losing all of it, like his whole sight.
Crazy.
Man.
So.
I mean, obviously, all of his clothes are inside out and backwards.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Well, they kind of do helping with houselessness and stuff like that. They move
Really?
off of 122nd. I live over there. So.
122nd.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
Cultivated
Oh,
Initiative.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. But yeah.
You're looking for them down here?
Oh no, I'm not looking for them down
Oh.
here. I just seen what you guys are doing. I
Oh,
asked
right
what
on.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Rob Love.
Alex Stone, pleasure to meet you.
Hi, I'm Kristi.
Compliance manager.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, so I work
Yeah.
with help women, minorities, emerging small
Yeah.
businesses and stuff get involved into our procurement practices. But one thing that I was gonna say about the Initiated Solutions is we came there and we live off 122nd, so when they already gentrify a lot of stuff. Anybody that's of color,
Of course.
knows that.
Yep.
Right.
And just because we're people of color doesn't mean that we don't want the same thing that somebody in Lake Oswego goes. And how
Exactly.
you tell what they're doing is the closest place to downtown is Lake Oswego and West Lane and stuff. But there's no
Right.
homeless people there.
Right.
No.
How the fuck do they skip next door?
Right.
Which is way closer than 122nd.
Right.
Yep.
How do they skip it? So when they came there, one of the things that we were like, okay, we want to help these solutions and stuff, but we also want to make sure that our neighborhood, like our kids, go to our bus stop and they'll step on heroin needles and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. Because
That's right.
we grew up in the 90s. As
Right.
African Americans, we know there's a difference between a drug problem and a homeless problem.
That's right.
Because in the 90s, we couldn't even sit on the corner with our homies and drink a 40. We get
Right.
locked up.
Oh, yeah.
So with us, we were saying that, and then I remember I went and talked to the lady, and she was like, well, unfortunately, these people can, since we're here, they can live wherever they want to live. So our neighborhood went from this to that, and they got evicted from the neighborhood. So I was always saying with these programs, is you got to work hand in hand with the people that live there.
Yes.
You got to care about the people that live there as much as the people that you're introducing
Yes,
to the area,
correct.
right? And so that's one thing that I was just saying about this program that's cool that I think you guys are doing. I see you guys walking around,
Thank you,
documenting
yeah.
stuff and stuff, because it doesn't seem like you would talk to somebody like, hey, I've lived in this historic building for 100 years. How can I work with you guys to do this?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, we can't do nothing about it. People can live wherever they want to live. So it's like,
So Kristi's the CEO of a woman-owned business and does property management.
you have a card?
Not with me. I'm sorry. I'm kind of bare
Low
bones
Rob,
right now.
My name's Rob Lowe, like the actor.
Okay.
LWE,
Okay.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low Rob at ohsu.edu. We're looking for women businesses for all of our business practices.
I will remember
So
that.
I'm
Yeah.
headed to a meeting right now to talk about how we spread that. So this is millions of dollars that if somebody doesn't come claim it in the back,
Yeah.
back in the day, somebody could be like, here's my cousin. So that's where nepotism was a huge
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, I'm
right?
sure,
You have
yeah.
a dude like,
What's your email again?
Low Rob, LOWE. ROB at ohsu.edu, and this is women, emerging small businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran, disabled businesses.
I had my cousin reach out. He's
Yeah.
Mexican and he
Yeah.
owns
Veterans, so
Community Action PDX, and what they do is they help homeless people. Kind of what we do, but they do it in large projects.
Yeah, and so even with some of these people that are houseless
legit.
or transient or whatnot, if they start a business,
Yeah.
I remember there's a newspaper, I forgot what it's called, but stuff like that. You're a woman and you're homeless. What is it? Sexual assault against women is like 60% of homelessness. So we're really trying to get them to start their businesses, and that's one of the things why in our neighborhood I'm like, if my neighborhood's 0%, and you put a bunch of homeless cats outside my house, what happens when my fiance goes to the store, goes buy a bag of chips? She's automatically walking from 0% to 50%.
Oh yeah.
Or our kids going to the bus stop. There was people camping at our bus stop. What happens when our kid steps on a needle? It's like, we don't care about your cultivated solutions if it doesn't. If we're not doing something for everybody. You know?
It's community transformation.
It's a community transformation, right? It's letting them know, hey, this community wants you here and wants to help you, but you have to work hand in hand.
You have to engage with us, all stakeholders, for transformation.
Exactly. And if in the 90s, if my friends, if they tell them that they can't do something, then why can't we just create a space to where it's like, this is where resources are. This is where we can get our resources instead of working against the community, work with the community. So that's one thing that I want to say.
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow. You found the right people.
I want some of that dynamite that you got.
It's beautiful.
I love it, man.
Email me, any of you.
All right.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Yep.
Send me
Take
the
care.
email, please. Man, that's great.
I will.
That was awesome. Hey, man, just walking around. See, this is what community engagement's about, right? When
You can only do that if you're out here on the street.
exactly
That's right.
The only time you can do it.
They've been working before I get a ticket.
Don't forget that.
But what we really need more is just engagement.
Yes.
Engagement.
Well, it's so weird that, I mean, you guys are doing such a good job of this, but I can't believe that no one else has caught on and grabbed this ball.
They're scared. People that work in these buildings for all these nonprofits, they're scared to come to the tents.
Well, and
It's
also, I
scary.
mean, sorry to say, but
There's probably 40, 50 guns in this pit right here.
yeah,
All illegal. They no longer know how to be effective,
there we go.
right?
Their motivation
They're using a
is,
business model from like the 1950s.
yeah, they've
Like,
lost their,
hey, we're a church with a shelter. And you're like, okay, what are you doing about the cartels? The Armenians.
how are you
Romanian
growing
Russians.
and adapting to address the
Yeah.
needs of today?
And so you gotta be out in the street.
Yeah,
You can't just be, in fact, we did this during Civil Rights Movement. In the Civil Rights Movement, we knew that if we owned the streets, that the people that were perpetrating evils would realize that and be too scared to continue to perpetrate evil. So when you own the street through engagement, the criminal element, they leave.
yeah,
Because they take the path of least resistance.
sure. They
Right.
don't want to be bothered whether it's
Correct. It's,
helpful or not.
you can't make money when
Care.
you have all of us walking around with cameras.
Right.
And so even those two drug dealers that we were talking to, they
They
bolted.
just bolted. They were out of here.
Yeah, there ain't no. Yeah. So pizza already came and left. We already fed everybody. I love that shield, bro. Having a pizza party? That's what's up. And so, this is kind of weird to say this, but these people live in a community. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're
This
protecting
is
each
their
other,
community.
taking care of each other. Someone perpetrates, they kick them out. They're ostracized. So why would anyone here leave and go to a shelter? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, other than the fact that they want to get off of drugs and change their life and they no longer want to be homeless. So you have to build that vision in someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it says that people forget the mission and vision and values of their culture every 21 days. Every 21 days we have to reignite the flame of vision in our employees, our staff members,
Sure.
our friends, even within ourselves. We get lost, right?
Sure.
And so people here, we have to contact them every day to keep the idea of hope alive, of the ability, hey, you know, you don't have to live here. We can get you out. We can get you to a tiny home. We can get you to a shelter. You know, and if someone's not here casting that dream
Yeah.
and giving them hope, then it just becomes a community of hopelessness. But again, it's a process.
But it also just demonstrates like that it's, you know, just continue contact.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, it's not a storybook situation. It's not made for TV.
It's
No,
not.
and there are some that are. We've had lots of situations where it has turned out really, really well.
Yeah.
There's so many. And if we had the right resources in this city, we'd have a lot more success stories. But unfortunately, we don't have enough mental health beds. We don't have enough drug treatment beds. We don't have those things, and they're not readily available. If I talk to somebody and they're in crisis, I can't say, well, I guess they can get you in 2 weeks. It doesn't work like that. They have to go now. And that's why we contact people every day. We might contact somebody 99 times and they go, you know what, I'm good. And then the 100th time they're like, I need to get off the street, Spence. We want to be able to take them and get them off the street.
That's right.
And when I was working security, I would call each individual shelter. I'd be on the phone for 2 hours just to be told no, no, no. And I'm like, you know what? I'm bypassing all this. I'm gonna start building relationships with those individual places. And because when they're in crisis, they need help now. They don't need help 2 weeks from now.
They
or
don't want to be
from now.
number
You'll
412.
even the next day, I've had people like, hey, meet me here tomorrow, I'm gonna take you. And you never find them, you never see them again.
Yeah, sure.
So,
of course.
Because
it
they
has to be
use
this.
or
They get high,
they
you
have
never
an
see 'em.
abusive,
Yeah,
boyfriend
or
or
just
girlfriend.
even a bad night.
They pull them back down into
Yeah.
something. And,
Yeah. So, we had a girl yesterday, we were gonna get into a tiny home. She was all excited. She's like, I gotta go pack my stuff, and I couldn't find her. She never came back. And so I finally went and drove, finally found her, and her boyfriend didn't want her to go.
Yeah.
But she finally was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. So I took her.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, so
Good
I took
job.
her.
Wow, nice
So-
work.
Well, you know,
That's what's up. Yeah.
you gotta be persistent. If you're not persistent, you're not gonna survive out here.
And that's just another thing too. A lot of them need the extra push. Like that little extra push goes a long way with them. When they see someone like motivating and just pushing to get them in or just to do better,
Yeah.
some take good effect and they capitalize off the mistakes from that.
That's
So,
right. You can't get in the field with them, but you can be a cheerleader.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Most
know?
definitely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Team player.
Cool.
All right,
I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
You're the man.
Yep. Good to see you.
Love you,
Kristi,
too.
great to see you again,
see you.
obviously. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, great to see you. as
Nice
well.
to meet you or see you again.
Yeah. All right, man. Good talk.
Okay.
You ready to roll?
Yes. Let's roll.
Oh, man. There you go.
Awesome. So we're here, right?
Yes, this
Your
is
building?
the building.
That's beautiful. So, again, tell me what's so unique about it?
Well, it's a living building, one of the
Yeah.
few office buildings in the world that is a living building. The toilets in this building actually are composted. The items
Really?
from the toilets are composted in the basement of this building.
And then it's repurposed as like soil?
Yeah, so the urine from the toilets is
Really?
actually turned into fertilizer, taken off site and used in
Wow,
farms.
that's incredible. Okay.
It's got its own cistern, so
Yeah.
and there are plants that are on the planter boxes in this building that are also
So there's a
fertilized.
water cistern. Is that because the water's being recycled?
Yes.
I'm assuming there's also solar panels?
There are solar panels
Yeah.
all over the roof, yes.
Okay.
This building will eventually be a net zero building. It produces its own energy.
Yeah.
Yes. And essentially, it's a living building
Yeah.
on the edge of Old Town.
And so, we were just here a couple weeks ago with Jason O, who was an owner of STPlex, it's a
Okay.
tech firm out of Korea, and PK Gupta, a tech firm here out of Beaverton, Oregon.
Oh,
And
excellent.
There are partners, there are tech partners and our tech side. And so we're running analytics on this property, and we tested the analytics right here at this location.
Oh, excellent.
And we basically stood in there and pretended like we were, doing something to the door. And the guard showed up in 1 minute and 47 seconds.
That's incredible.
I know, and yeah, we hadn't seen him, so we didn't even know where he was. He was just out patrolling. He was happened to be, there was someone trespassing over here at a parking lot by the police blocks. And so he just happened to be right there. And
Okay.
he actually was able to tell her, hey, hold on, I'll be right back. Because she
Sure.
was gathering her stuff. Came over here, checked in on us, said, oh, okay, what are y'all doing? We're testing the facility, the site.
Okay.
And then he just jumped back over there and handled the situation. So very
Excellent.
seamless, very
Okay.
seamless.
Love it.
We just came from a more highly dense residential area to a less dense residential area.
Sure.
And there's less people on the streets.
Yes.
Less eyes during the daytime,
Yeah.
which means the likelihood that someone's car will get broken into is greater, unfortunately. But this is why the district model is so important.
Absolutely.
Because as we're walking around, we're engaging with folks, and they're seeing us, we're contacting them, even if they're suspicious, right?
Yeah.
We'll still contact them. What a great building, huh?
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. It's pretty exciting to have that here, and I feel like, that's where we've got a situation where we've got the future is here.
Yes. Yeah. But we're still living in the past on the streets.
We're still living in the past right over there.
Yeah.
So,
And for some reason, people can be so innovative when it comes to buildings, but when it comes to security or handling homelessness, it's like we're out of ideas. We're just gonna throw our hands up. We don't know.
well, you guys aren't.
We don't, but I think I hate always saying the city or
Right.
the government,
Yeah.
but people that have the majority of the control over society just don't have an idea. They don't know what they're doing.
Well, and the key is you guys are on the streets, like we just saw. Like you guys are on the streets, you're engaging, and that's why you know what's happening and know the solutions to that.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other private, public, political situations, they're not here. They are maybe they're in their office.
Yeah.
Maybe. But even then,
Yeah.
like they need to be out here on the
They
street
do.
and engaging to understand what is actually happening.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you came and did the ride along. I
Thank
think
you.
I'm.
Thank you for having me.
You're one of my favorite people. I think that you know that.
I love you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kristi Carver, Interurban Real Estate.
Yeah.
Check her out online. A fantastic company. If I was in the property management industry, I would want to work for you.
Thank you.
And I say that knowing a lot of people in this industry.
Yeah. Well, vice
And
versa.
Especially if I was a woman looking for a mentor, looking for another woman in the industry that's a mover and shaker and that's serious, that's getting things done, I would look to you as someone that I would want to be. And even as a man, I'd look to you as someone I'd want to be, right? But specifically women who might feel that they don't have the opportunity that men do in this industry.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing.
Oh,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, totally.
Breaking down barriers on all sides.
Let's go back and hit the road.
Okay, let's go.